My friend once told me that the first time that she saw my flute sticking out of my backpack, she couldn't help but burst out into laughter. The idea that someone like me, a wrestler, would be a flutist of all things was such a ridiculous, foreign idea to her. And perhaps for those who knew me, primarily as a part of my high school symphonic band, the thought of me grappling on a wrestling mat was absurd. Now, although we joked and laughed about it at the time, I realized that this little detail, a lighthearted joke she had made, really was a reflection of an idea that had haunted me all throughout my childhood. It epitomized the widespread belief that these two divergent interests, wrestling and flute playing, could not and should not coexist within me. I was about 9 or 10 when I started to pursue these two conflicting interests of mine. I initially started playing the flute simply because it was an instrument that my sister played and because it was easy to fit into my backpack. But I grew to genuinely enjoy playing, as the soft melodies and captivating tunes allowed me to express myself in a way that I hadn't been able to previously. Similarly, I didn't intend to commit to wrestling when I started it. I had tried many sports prior to it, including tennis, basketball, swimming, etc., and I expected this to be another one and done. But just as flute playing had become a way for me to convey my emotions, wrestling also served as a medium for self-expression. However, in contrast to the gentle melodies that resonated through my flute, wrestling gave me a more physical, rigorous type of freedom. The freedom to express my anger on the mat. The freedom that allowed me to throw my opponents and put them into headlocks. Yet it was this stark contrast that was so heavily rejected by society as a whole. This idea of playing such a gentle, delicate instrument that is often perceived as feminine, while simultaneously being a part of a physical, macho sport, was just so absurd to so many people. The first time that a teammate found out that I played the flute, I was laughed at and ridiculed. The first time that I told a bandmate that I wrestled, he called me a liar and again laughed at me. From then on, I'll constantly hide the fact that I played the flute to those who knew I wrestled, and the fact that I wrestled to those who knew me from the band. It felt like my identity came with a burden that forced me to hide who I am in fear of being rejected and embarrassed. But I realized that it wasn't just me who held this burden. The weight of hiding our true passions for the purpose of conforming to societal norms is one that was shared by many. Many of us have felt pressured to hide a part of our identity in some way, ranging from seemingly trivial acts, such as keeping certain music tastes private, to more profound experiences, such as concealing a cherished hobby. And I couldn't help but notice countless peers undergoing these struggles similar to the ones that I faced. Even something as minute as hiding your Spotify playlist from others exemplified a pervasive ideology that ridicules uniqueness and confines us into narrow boxes. As I realized just how prominent this issue was, I wanted to take a stand against it. I knew that by suppressing parts of myself, I was inadvertently contributing to a society that perpetuated narrow definitions of identity. I wanted to be myself unapologetically in order to encourage others to do the same. But it wasn't easy. As I attempted to embrace two contrasting parts of my identity in flute and wrestling, I was constantly subject to ridicule and judgment. Even as I told myself that I didn't care what others thought of me, I knew deep down that that was a lie. Yet, one day, I encountered a turning point in this journey of self-acceptance through a seemingly minor interaction. A classmate remarked that she thought it was really cool that I did both flute and wrestling. And although this wasn't necessarily anything profound, all it took were these few simple, kind words for me to experience a shift in perspective. For the first time, I felt validated for who I was. But it wasn't just the approval that mattered. The fact that someone had seen value in my diversity allowed me to finally see the value in it for myself. At last, I finally realized that being both a wrestler and a flutist wasn't a burden or a weakness. It was a strength. Wrestling taught me discipline, perseverance, and hard work, skills that I found invaluable towards flute playing. In return, flute playing taught me the importance of patience and precision, skills that enhanced my performance on the wrestling mat. At last I understood, we are not defined by a single pursuit or interest, but rather we are a blend of diverse passions and talents that enrich our lives and make us unique individuals. It is in the fusion of these seemingly disparate elements that we discover our true selves, our true potential. And just as I have faced challenges in accepting and expressing my diverse interests, many struggle to reveal their true selves due to societal pressures and prejudices. Harmful stereotypes are often imposed on individuals based on sexual orientation, race, or other personal characteristics. It is important to recognize that just as our passions and talents form a unique mosaic that defines us, so do the diverse aspects of each individual's identity that make them whole and extraordinary. So, as we move forward with our lives, I urge you all to join me in working towards a world where it is encouraged to be yourself unapologetically, and a society where ridicule is not the response to one's uniqueness. Because it is our multifaceted nature that makes us as human beings so special. So, that one outfit that you've been nervous to wear, or that one song that you really love, but it seems like nobody else does, embrace it. Because if you're not being yourself, nobody will. Now, we can all contribute towards fostering a more inclusive environment. And perhaps that means creating your own TED Talks or creating your own speeches about self-acceptance. Or maybe all it takes is a few kind words. Thank you.